What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of DevTalks with your host, Travian, where we talk about everything engineering and technology-wise. This week, got some different topics, not fully about AI. Got some stuff we missed. It does still have AI stuff, unfortunately, but fortunately, because that's literally the only thing going on, mainly around us these days. And we just gonna see what's up, because we might be missing some. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and let's just dive into this episode because it's going to be a good one. So, first things first, we got some things. We got some things to talk about first. And one of the things that we missed was Nvidia's event. And let's just say thank you to that, because going over and making a 3-hour video, mind you, the event was 2 hours. If I was reacting to it, it was going to be a 3-hour video. And thank you for somebody shortening it out, because I can put it in this format and it can have its own video later next week. So I appreciate this. But the first thing we're going to do is go through all the highlights of the keynote from Nvidia. They've been doing numbers recently. If I had my top 5 vote to the first quarter in tech, Nvidia is number 1. Nvidia has been number 1. Yeah. ChatGPT, OpenAI, 2. I put them at 1 last year, for the whole of last year. But Nvidia is up there this year. They doing some numbers. And speaking of events, we also got Apple event coming up soon. That one I'm more likely to catch live. But let's just see what this event's about. Let's see what kind of stuff we can take from it. And let's see what they came out with. And let's dive into it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Helps out the algorithm. And please share to all your friends and family that are also interested in tech, because we just here to learn.
I hope you realize this is not a concert. You have arrived at a developers conference. There will be a lot of science described, algorithms, computer architecture, mathematics. Blackwell is not a chip. Blackwell is the name of a platform. People think we make GPUs, and we do, but GPUs don't look the way they used to. This is Hopper. Hopper changed the world. This is Blackwell.
It seems very big. Let's just figure out. Hopefully they tell us what it is.
It's okay, Hopper. 208 billion transistors, and so you could see, I can see, there's a small line between 2 dies. This is the first time 2 dies have abutted like this together in such a way that the two dies think it's one chip. There's 10 terabytes of data between it, 10 terabytes per second, so that these two sides of the Blackwell chip have no clue which side they're on. There's no memory locality issues, no cache issues. It's just one.
One of the things I want to point out, first things first, this man said how this is a developers conference and how technical they are going to talk about this stuff is one of my favorite things. Off the bat, it's one of my favorite things. And honestly, this is an innovation. If there's no locality and everything in these chips, like, it got some competition. I see why they throwing out the old one. Its size still is pretty decently sized, especially compared to the last one. But as technology grows, you're gonna need to put more stuff within these chips, and it's gonna grow the size of them, which they're gonna figure out ways on how to confine stuff so that we can make better technology and stuff. Like, for instance, the Vision Pro. It has the potential to be way better, but due to the technology restrictions at our time, you can't confine everything that you want to confine within the headset because of how big some of the other processors, chips may be, and a whole bunch of other reasons. So we're gonna get there, but they also have some other stuff up here. It says the Blackwell is the AI super chip with 208 B transit 208 billion. Did that B stand for billion? Okay. A new second gen transformer engine, a fifth gen NVLink, scales up to 576 GPUs. RAS engine, 100% in system self test, secure AI, 800 gigabytes a second, and the decompression engine. This looks so clean. The video, when they show their computer stuff, they really know like how to pull at the heartstrings of creating something that looks very clean. Like this whole process over here, like this whole motherboard with the whole chips in it and the color palettes. When they did an announcement earlier this year, was it Nvidia? No, AMD. AMD did one, but these chip companies, they do a good job with they're showing their computers and showing the computer builds and things like that to really attract, us people who want to build them into using their products. They're very smart.
One giant chip, and it goes into two types of systems. The first one is form fit function compatible to Hopper. And so you slide on Hopper and you push in Blackwell. That's the reason why one of the challenges of ramping is going to be so efficient. There are installations of Hoppers all over the world, and they could be the same infrastructure, same design, the power, the electricity, the thermals, the software, identical, push it right back. And so this is a Hopper version for the current HGX configuration. And this is what the second Hopper looks like this. Now this is a prototype board. This is a fully functioning board, and I'll just be careful here. This right here is, I don't know, $10 billion.
That's crazy. That's crazy to say that's $10 billion. That's funny, but if that really was that much, oh my gosh. Can you imagine? Normally when technology comes out, there's always a premium on how expensive it is, and then the price goes down when you're able to advance more technology based off of it, which is a cool scaling factor and whatever. But yeah, he's saying that no regular people get in this. He joking, but he not joking. He not joking for real. He's saying nobody is getting this unless you got the money to do it. No regular people get in a hold of this stuff.
The second one's 5. It gets cheaper after that, so any customers in the audience, it's okay. The Grace CPU has a super fast chip-to-chip link. What's amazing is this computer is the first of its kind where this much computation, first of all, fits into this small of a place. Second, it's memory coherent. They feel like they're just one big happy family working on one application together. We created a processor for the generative AI era. And one of the most important parts of it is content token generation. We call it, this format is FP4. The rate at which we're advancing computing is insane, and it's still not fast enough, so we built another chip. This chip is just an incredible chip. We call it the NVLink switch. It's 50.
Is this one cheaper? 50 billion? Where's the other one? Oh, I want to see the screen. Hold on, let me go back. Hey, he had a screen behind him. We were all watching it, weren't we not? Are we not watching the same thing together?
100 chip. It's just one giant chip.
208. I'm trying to compare these two, and they have us going back and forth. 4 NV links at 1.8 terabytes a second.
It's 50 billion transistors. It's almost the size of Hopper all by itself. This switch chip has 4 NVLinks in it, each 1.8 terabytes per second, and it has computation in it, as I mentioned. What is this chip for? If we were to build such a chip, we can have every single GPU talk to every other GPU at full speed at the same time. You can build a system that looks like this. Now this system is kind of insane. This is one DGX. This is what a DGX looks like now. Just so you know, there are only a couple, 2, 3 exaflops machines on the planet as we speak. And so this is an exaflops AI system in one single rack. I want to thank some partners that are joining us in this. AWS is gearing up for Blackwell. They're going to build the first GPU with secure AI. They're building out a 222 exaflops system.
Look at AWS doing something. Before we get to their whole partner stuff, I wanted to talk about something real quick. Before he talked about the NVLink switches and the Blackwell chip, he was talking about a lot of stuff with AI and how fast everything with AI is growing and being able to basically grow in that space. And I think it's very important, especially at the time that we're at right now, to be able to reveal this stuff, because this is all going to be very important to these companies, right? They want to scale up. Especially, we just saw the updates with Gemini 1.5. 1.5 said it's running 1 million tokens a second or a task. It can, at the same time, it can run like 1 million tokens at the same time. It takes 1 token for each task, so it's like 1 million tasks at once. And that's how, and it scales way higher than all the other AI things can at this moment. Not going to say in the future, things can change in the future, but at this moment, Gemini can scale up so much in their recent update to deal with that many tokens and things. And I think he even mentioned something about tokens. Nvidia is smart for doing this because you have to be able to keep up and ahead of these companies so that they keep coming to you to get more. And when they realize they need something better, something stronger and whatever, and they are going to be very expensive to run, and you need to know this stuff, especially if you're working at one of these companies or you're using these tools. What is going into making this? This is what's going to be going into making this. This whole event, I bet you, is how they are making tools to help this artificial intelligence growth and scale up at even greater numbers than it's already at right now. And as my sweater says, the AI said it's coming. Like, it's coming. Regardless, it's going to be here. And it's going to be way crazier. Especially because of this. These last 2 products. These last 2 chips and everything. And let's just see what he has to say about the partners and things. They, like, and look, this is the beginning of the partners thing. They just put all their partners on here. You have Lenovo, all the computers and stuff, Meta, OpenAI, Tesla, Together AI, Perplexity, Recursion, look, AI 21 Labs, Character AI, Essential AI. You have Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud, AWS, Oracle. Like, oh look, every company that's big right now and going for AI, they have listed up here. All of these companies are going to be using these products. These last 2 products he just showed, they're going to use them. And it's, look, another one, Cisco, they're all here. Dell, all these different companies are buying from them. And this is why they're going to be able to grow way quicker than everybody else. And earlier this year, I said AMD would catch them. But unless AMD is showing me something that's comparable to what they just released, they ain't catching nothing. they are not catching anything. For sure. They just won't be able to because, like, how? How are you going to? Literally, look at all their partners and stuff. These are the biggest companies in the world that deal with computers and AI right now. You tell me they're not going to? Let them add figure on this. That the little robot that we saw earlier is gonna be way crazier, way more better. And look, they figure works with OpenAI. Them partner to partner relationships is gonna be crazy. It's going to be crazy. But let's see what he has to say. How he's doing, what they're doing with some of these partners.
In this. AWS is gearing up for Blackwell. They're going to build the first GPU with secure AI. They're building out a 222 exaflops system. We're CUDA accelerating SageMaker AI. We're CUDA accelerating Bedrock AI. Amazon Robotics is working with us using Nvidia Omniverse and Isaac.
Amazon's robotics working with them. They building out a new GPU, all their AI stuff. They're working on it. I just said it, and that's Amazon alone. All these other companies are going to follow suit. He probably got some other partners up here. Yeah, look, he gonna talk about all the main ones. Look right here.
Sim, AWS Health has Nvidia Health integrated into it. So AWS has really leaned into accelerated computing. Google is gearing up for Blackwell. GCP already has A100s, H100s, T4s, L4s, a whole fleet of NVIDIA CUDA GPUs, and they recently announced the Gemma model that runs across all of it. We're working to optimize and accelerate every aspect of GCP. We're accelerating dataproc, which for dataproc, and a model that runs every aspect of GCP. We're accelerating dataproc, which for, and accelerate every aspect of it. We're working to optimize and accelerate every aspect of GCP. We're working to optimize Gemma model that runs across all of it. We're working to optimize and.
I think that's their. I think he pronounced it wrong. It used to be Gemma or something like that. Probably. I'll have to look it up, but I'm sure he's talking about their AI stuff as well.
And Mujoko for robotics. So we're working with Google and GCP across a whole bunch of initiatives. Oracle is gearing up for Blackwell. Oracle is a great partner of ours for NVIDIA DGX Cloud, and we're also working together to accelerate something that's really important to a lot of companies, Oracle database. Microsoft is accelerating, and Microsoft is...
We're not going to let that slide, buddy. Look at this. Microsoft as a whole. This has gone big bro, little bro. Because, look, OpenAI is in the one column over there and stuff. But you got Microsoft Azure. All their mostly deeply integrated cloud stuff is going to be using NVIDIA products. The largest connected supercomputer. That's with Microsoft Azure too. These are the AI innovators that Microsoft's partnered with, that they're going to be working with as well too. So it just adds more to it, more to the list. And one of the things I actually like looking at these events now, ever since I started this podcast, is being able to see how these companies relate to each other, how they all come together, how they work together, and what ways do they work together, how are these partnerships formed, what they do in these partnerships and stuff. I feel like it's very important to know this, especially the track that we're going down and the business and the line of work I do. I feel is very important, very, almost extremely important. So if you definitely want to know how these businesses relate to each other, they say it at their events. Samsung earlier, they talked about how they partner with Google and Gemini and stuff. How are they working together? Nvidia, they're going through all their partners, and these are step-by-step things on what they're doing with each one of these companies. Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Oracle. He's going through specifics of what they're doing. And I really love that. If it's very important. It's very important. If you don't believe me now, you're going to believe me in the future when you don't know what's going on at all. How are we progressing this much? How are they working together? What am I going to invest in? Number one right here. Number one, NVIDIA.
Is accelerating, and Microsoft is gearing up for Blackwell. Microsoft and NVIDIA has a wide-ranging partnership. We're accelerating all kinds of services when you chat, obviously, and AI services that are in Microsoft Azure. It's very, very likely NVIDIA's in the back doing the inference and the token generation. They built the largest NVIDIA InfiniBand supercomputer, basically a digital twin of ours, or a physical twin of ours. We're bringing the NVIDIA ecosystem to Azure. NVIDIA DGX Cloud to Azure. NVIDIA Omniverse is now hosted in Azure. NVIDIA Healthcare is in Azure. And all of it is deeply integrated and deeply connected with Microsoft Fabric. A NIM, it's a pre-trained model, so it's pretty clever. And it is packaged and optimized to run across NVIDIA's installed base, which is very, very large. What's inside it is incredible. You have all these pre-trained, state-of-the-art open source models. They could be open source, they could be from one of our partners, it could be created by us, like NVIDIA Moment. It is packaged up with all of its dependencies. So CUDA, the right version, cuDNN, the right version, TensorRT, LLM, distributing across the multiple GPUs, Triton Inference Server, all completely packaged together. It's optimized depending on...
I haven't heard of CUDA in so long. I haven't heard of CUDA since college days and stuff, but NVIDIA even has their own, they have their own model that they're training. And I feel like it's way easier for them to train their model when they're helping all the big companies with their models and their processing and stuff. Like, you guys already have this partnership. What's going on? Something ain't right here. Something ain't right here. I don't know. I'm just saying. I don't know. NVIDIA got some slick going on with all these other people that they working with and stuff, but they even got the whole Kubernetes stuff in here. I know Kubernetes, know a little about some Kubernetes. If you work with Kubernetes and you're K8's you work with K8's all the time, drop a comment. That's how I'm gonna know if y'all watch this video. Yeah, do that. But look, industry API standards, text, speech, video, image, biology, 3D. That's what all their stuff. I don't know. I just think this is just insane. Like, literally insane.
Whether you have a single GPU, multi-GPU, or multi-node of GPUs, it's optimized for that. And it's connected up with APIs that are simple to use. These packages, incredible bodies of software, will be optimized and packaged, and we'll put it on a website. And you can download it. You could take it with you. You could run it in any cloud. You could run it in your own data center. You can run in workstations if it fit.
See, that's why they have all them partners. He said you could run it in any cloud. That's why they partnered with them all. Hey, if you can't beat them, join them. And what happens if you join every single one? Literally, they're working with all the best cloud-based companies already. Every one of these companies have their own cloud base. Microsoft has Azure, Google Cloud Platform, AWS. Like, they all have their own cloud platforms already, and they're all working. They're working together with all of them. Make your stuff widely available. That's what they're doing right now. I didn't know the NVIDIA events get down like this. This is... Hey, if I say you're number one for the whole year, you invite me to next year's event, I hope they see this. I hope they see this. I hope he sees this, honestly. But yeah, this is insane.
And all you have to do is come to ai.nvidia.com. We call it NVIDIA Inference Microservice, but inside the company, we all call it NIMS. We have a service called Nemo Microservice that helps you curate the data, preparing the data so that you could teach this, onboard this AI. You fine-tune them, and then you guardrail it. You can even evaluate the answer, evaluate its performance against other examples. And so we are effectively an AI foundry. We will do for you and the industry on AI what TSMC does for us building chips. And so we go to TSMC with our big ideas. They manufacture it, and we take it with us. And so exactly the same thing here. AI Foundry And the three pillars are the NIMs, NeMo microservice, and DGX Cloud. We're announcing that NVIDIA AI Foundry is working with some of the world's great companies. SAP generates 87% of the world's global commerce. Basically, the world runs on SAP. We run on SAP. NVIDIA and SAP are building SAP Joule copilots.
I didn't even know what SAP was. It's a whole software company. Is that bad? Is that bad? I didn't even know. I didn't even know. I don't know who these people are. Is that bad? I didn't know what this company was. Oh my gosh. I feel so bad. Oh, they're like a German company. They're a German company. So they're not in America. And we don't typically cover too many international companies too often. If you guys want to hear more about international companies, let me know. I'll try to look more into it. But I didn't even know. I'm about to add them to the list of places to look deeper into. That is insane. I didn't even know who they were. I had no clue who they were. None at all. Dang. I feel so bad now. Oh well. Let's continue with this.
Using NVIDIA NeMo and DGX Cloud. ServiceNow, they run 85% of the world's Fortune 500 companies run their people and customer service operations on ServiceNow. And they're using NVIDIA AI Foundry to build ServiceNow Assist virtual assistants. Cohesity backs up the world's data. They're sitting on a gold mine of data. Hundreds of exabytes of data, over 10,000 companies. NVIDIA AI Foundry is working with them, helping them build their Gaia generative AI agent. Snowflake is a company that stores the world's digital warehouse in the cloud and serves over 3 billion queries a day for
Nvidia is not fair. This is not fair. You can't compete with them. They literally have the best and top prospects to work with for their business, including regular consumers. That is insane. They literally are the center of the web. Literally, if you imagine a web, spider web, and the internet, and all these tech companies, they have found a way to put themselves in the center. And center of the giants, too. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Dang.
10,000 enterprise customers. Snowflake is working with NVIDIA AI Foundry to build copilots with NVIDIA NeMo and NIMs. NetApp, nearly half of the files in the world are stored on-prem on NetApp. NVIDIA AI Foundry is helping them build chatbots and copilots like those vector databases and retrievers with NVIDIA NeMo and NIMs. And we have a great partnership with Dell. Everybody who is building these chatbots and generative AI, when you're ready to run it, you're going to need an AI factory. And nobody is better at building end-to-end systems of very large scale for the enterprise than Dell. And so anybody, any company, every company will need to build AI factories. And it turns out that Michael is here. He's happy to take your order. We need a simulation engine that represents the world digitally for the robot, so that the robot has a gym to go learn how to be a robot. We call that virtual world Omniverse. And the computer that runs Omniverse is called OVX. And OVX, the computer itself, is hosted in the Azure cloud.
The future of heavy industries starts as a digital twin. The AI agents helping robots, workers, and infrastructure navigate unpredictable events in complex industrial spaces will be built and evaluated first in sophisticated digital twins.
Once you connect everything together, it's insane how much productivity you can get. And it's just really, really wonderful. All of a sudden, everybody's operating on the same ground truth.
They got car companies too. I never once, actually that's a lie, because I knew these chip companies were working with like Tesla and things. I didn't know if it was for an EV reason, because like the EV vehicles, they do a lot of tracking and things like that. And some of these other cars do also, but actually working with these car companies in a way of manufacturing too. Watching this is so helpful because it's allowing me to not only, I don't know about any of you guys, but when you see all these partnerships and what they're working with, and you see him explaining how it's being used, I am seeing new ways to look at how things are getting done on the daily basis around us. Things that you would never think of unless you actually pay attention to this kind of stuff. And I wish this was bigger so that more people could see and view it under a different lens than just watching a straight event. But that is insane. And we're 3/4 the way done in half an hour in this. This is why I didn't want to do a 3-hour video. I'm telling you, if this was 2 hours long, we would be having a 4-hour video on this. And can't do that. So let's just try to get through the rest of this, and then I'll give my final thoughts unless something else shocks me.
You don't have to exchange data and convert data, make mistakes. Everybody is working on the same ground truth. From the design department to the art department, the architecture department, all the way to the engineering and even the marketing department. Today we're announcing that Omniverse Cloud streams to the Vision Pro. And
I got the loudest clap for the partnership. And look, what does this mean for the Vision Pro? I need to know this first.
it is very, very strange that you walk around virtual doors when I was getting out of that car, and everybody does it. It is really, really quite amazing. Vision Pro connected to Omniverse portals you into Omniverse. And because all of these CAD tools and all these different design tools are now integrated and connected to Omniverse, you can have this type of workflow. Really incredible.
This is Nvidia Project Groot. A general-purpose foundation model for humanoid robot learning. The Groot model takes multimodal instructions and past interactions as input and produces the next action for the robot to execute.
Okay, that one Project Groot had 3 different companies' robots in there. And they're seeing, I'm not going to let that slide. I'm not going to let that slide. Tesla is this one with the black face. That's like Tesla or Figure or something like that. Amazon is the one carrying the box right there in the blue. And then they got 2 other ones. This is insane. Like these, they working together closer than we think they working together. And they think they slick. But the last thing with the Vision Pro, I really want to see more details around how that's going to work better, having that connection, and how is it going to advance the product itself. Didn't get to see that really, so kind of disappointed in that. But I'm very curious to see for the future.
Takes multimodal instructions and past interactions as input and produces the next action for the robot to execute. We developed Isaac Lab, a robot learning application to train Groot on Omniverse Isaac Sim. And we scale out with Osmo, a new compute orchestration service that coordinates workflows across DGX systems for training and OVX systems for simulation. The Groot model will enable a robot to learn from a handful of human demonstrations, so it can help with everyday tasks. And emulate human movement just by observing us. All this incredible intelligence is powered by the new Jetson Thor robotics chips, designed for Groot, built for the future. With Isaac Lab, Osmo, and Groot, we're providing the building blocks for the next generation of AI-powered robotics.
One problem with that too. Why is a robot playing drums? Why is a robot playing drums? They trying to replace humans. Imagine half of the Earth's population being electronic and being robots. AI. How would you feel about that? How safe would you feel about it? Would you be okay with it? That's the way we're heading. We're going to replace our population. We're literally going to replace ourselves. That's kind of an insane thing to think about, but it's happening. That is something. That is something for sure.
About the same size. The soul of Nvidia, the intersection of computer graphics, physics, artificial intelligence. It all came to bear at this moment. The name of that project, General Robotics 003. I know, super good. Super good. Well, I think we have some special guests. Do we? Hey guys. So I understand you guys are powered by Jetson. They're powered by Jetsons. Little Jetson robotics computers inside. They learn to walk in Isaac Sim. Ladies and gentlemen, this is orange, and this is the famous green. They are the BDX robots of Disney. Amazing Disney research. Come on, you guys, let's wrap up. Let's go. 5 things. Where are you going? I sit right here. Don't be afraid. Come here, Green. Hurry up. What are you saying? No, it's not time to eat. It's not time to eat. I'll give you a snack in a moment. Let me finish up real quick. Come on, Green, hurry up. Stop wasting time. This is what we announced to you today. This is Blackwell. This is the platform.
Nah. These robots, the Disney robots, they tugging on heartstrings, man. Look, I'm telling you, they're gonna have companies create robots that are from our childhoods and things like that. We're gonna see Star Wars robots walking around these streets. We're gonna see actual robots moving and doing stuff that we would do. And I almost find that insane. Almost find it insane, but I can't because it's happening. And how fast is it happening? They brought these robots out on stage. They brought Disney robots on stage that work most of the part. They don't know how to listen fully. But still, that is amazing, man. That is literally amazing, and it's a shocker. But I hope everybody got to learn something about Nvidia and how they're working with stuff. That was actually a very knowledgeable event, and to put together a lot of information and get my bearings on a lot of new technology and what's coming up and how they are working together. So I actually want to say thank you for that event. That from Nvidia. I wouldn't get worried about anything, but that is insane. That was such a good event. I can't even lie. Apple has a lot to step up for their event, but I can't lie. On to the next thing. Speaking of Apple, since I did bring them up, they getting sued right now. Now, what could this mean for them getting sued? And they're getting a lawsuit about having a monopoly. Now, I have some thoughts about this, but I want to go over this video and some of what their talking points are so that we can better understand what is going on and make comments based off that. So let's dive into this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share for the algorithm. It helps so much, and I really greatly appreciate it. So let's hear what they have to say.
Attorney General Merrick Garland, he's going to be laying out this case against Apple. Let's go to that live.
Good morning. Earlier today, the Department of Justice, joined by 15 states and the District of Columbia, sued Apple in the U.S. District Court for the District of New Jersey for violating Section 2 of the Sherman Antitrust Act. Over the last 2 decades, Apple has become one of the most valuable public companies in the world. Today, its net income exceeds the individual gross domestic product of more than 100 countries. That is in large part due to the success of the iPhone, Apple's signature smartphone product. For over a decade, iPhone sales have made up a majority of Apple's annual revenue. Today, Apple's share of the U.S. performance smartphone market exceeds 70%, and its share of the entire U.S. smartphone market exceeds 65%. Apple charges as much as nearly $1,600 for an iPhone. But as our complaint alleges, Apple has maintained monopoly power in the smartphone market not simply by staying ahead of the competition on the merits, but by violating federal antitrust law.
So we're going to listen to more about the antitrust laws that they're claiming that Apple has violated. But 65 to 70% of Americans own an iPhone. It's almost believable. It literally is almost a believable stat. And then only 30% own an Android. I feel like there would be a greater gap because of the different types of Android phones that are out there and that exist. But 65 to 70, I see why they panicking, yo. They don't want a company to be that powerful or to be that influential. They really don't. And one thing that Apple does good is separating themselves from other companies. And he's going to explain more because I've seen some of the talking points and things on how they do this. And then I'll give my thoughts around them. But they do a good job with doing it. There are things that Apple doesn't do good at, and we're going to get to that right after this. But let's continue.
Consumers should not have to pay higher prices because companies break the law. We allege that Apple has employed a strategy that relies on exclusionary, anti-competitive conduct that hurts both consumers and developers. For consumers, that has meant fewer choices, higher prices and fees, lower quality smartphones, apps, and accessories, and less innovation from Apple and its competitors. For developers, that has meant being forced to play by rules that insulate Apple from competition. And as outlined in our complaint, we allege that Apple has consolidated its monopoly power, not by making its own products better, but by making other products worse. Apple carries out its exclusionary anti-competitive conduct in two principal ways. First, Apple imposes contractual restrictions and fees that limit the features and functionality that developers can offer iPhone users. Second, Apple selectively restricts access to the points of connection between third-party apps and the iPhone's operating system.
So these are all true to an extent. From what I know in school, we never built iOS apps because basically you would need a developer account, and it's $100 a year. I know because I have an account, and they do make money based off that. So it does harm developers in a way. And in school, we used Android Studio to make Android apps, and you wouldn't have to pay. And it's just a easier process to just get started in things. So they do that for developers. And if you can try to say it hurts developers and things. Yeah, it takes money out of their pockets and whatever. And then they also takes money from App Store revenues and all this other stuff. So that I can agree with. That I can see why they try to bring it up, because at the end of the day, this is the DOJ trying to build a case here, and they have to have somewhat knowledge of how this works. The other thing he said is allowing third-party apps onto their platform. No, you have to make that app through their stuff, and it's a lot harder to convert an app for both platforms. It takes a lot more work. It's not an easy task. They use their own language in Swift, and Android Studio uses Java or something like that, I think. It's been a while since I even tried to develop an app in Android Studio. It's been years, a few years. So, yeah, for the developer part, I can somewhat see, but Apple does that because they want their own stuff to only belong to their things. They do that when they patent everything too. In their events, they patent all their stuff. They only want to build their products with their own stuff. That's literally what they want to do. They're trying to isolate themselves completely from any outside interference or needing of any outside.
Creating the functionality of non-Apple apps and accessories. As a result, for most of the past 15 years, Apple has collected a tax in the form of a 30% commission on the price of any app downloaded from the App Store, as well as on in-app purchases. Apple is able to command these fees from companies of all sizes. Apple has also suppressed the emergence of programs like cloud streaming apps, including gaming apps, as well as super apps that could reduce user dependence on Apple's own operating system and expensive hardware. And as any iPhone user who has ever seen a green text message or received a tiny, grainy video can attest, Apple's anti-competitive conduct also includes making it more difficult for iPhone users to message with users of non-Apple products.
I really want to talk about this point. This is probably the most important point, I think. And this point isn't going to fly. And I say that for this reason. Yes, it is true that when Android phones send Apple text messages and stuff like that, videos, pictures, it's always grainy and it's always messed up. That is very true. And yes, they do make it harder to communicate through text messaging with Android phones and products and video calling. They do make it harder. They don't allow it. They don't, through their own stuff and their own product, they don't care for it. Android products, the other way around, have made it better for Android users to talk to and communicate to iPhone products and other Android phones. They have done that, which is a nice thing to have, and that's a thing that Apple isn't going to do. But it is a nice thing to have that Android does. But this is why it's not going to fly. Apps like WhatsApp exist. You can video call and send pictures through WhatsApp. You can download it on the Apple Store. You can do all that. It's available. There's multiple apps on the App Store where you can talk to Android users and video call them at a way better thing and have a way better experience with it. You're not forced to use your text message stuff. Yes, you need internet, but most people do. iMessage works off the internet. That's how Apple people communicate with each other, through iMessage and through FaceTime and stuff like that. It's all through the internet. Your data, it works the same way. So that part's not going to slide. Another part that I'm not too familiar with, yeah, I know Apple does take a cut for in-app purchases and things like that, but don't Google Play Store and them do too, I think. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% positive. Don't quote me on it, but I think they take cuts on app purchases as well too. Maybe he's saying their cut purchases are way too much, like 30% is extreme and they're not more friendlier to argue, but if 70% of a population is on one platform over another, which platform do you want your app to be on? That's probably the reason why their pricing is the same way, which it also leads you to, that's probably the reason why they're getting sued right now, because of how much control and comfort they have as a company. That's probably literally it. Literally right there. I bet you that's why. And why they're trying to get it all to control, to make it fairer for their competitors. They want to make it more fair because more people own one product. It's way more popularized. Everybody growing up was getting the iPhone. So they just, and normally when you get a certain phone, you stick with that type of phone. You literally stick to that phone brand your whole life normally. Not many people have two different versions. Yes, I talk about getting rid of my iPhone and getting another phone to have two different versions, to have an Apple iPhone and a Samsung or an Android. But those are for two different reasonings, and I'm not every person. I'm using the other phone for other purposes. I'm using this phone for other purposes. So that's the reasoning behind why I make those choices and why that case doesn't suit for me. Most people, I guarantee, will stick to just the phone brands that they know. If they got a Samsung, they're gonna buy Samsungs their whole life. It's just what it is in the phone market. So that point, I think, is definitely not gonna work. At the end of the day, if Apple's lawyers and they were smart and that got through, I would be questioning who they hiring. They would need to hire me. They would need to hire me. If that got through, they need to hire me. I'm being so serious.
It does this by diminishing the functionality of its own messaging app and by diminishing the functionality of third-party messaging apps. By doing so,
You just message on other apps. It doesn't diminish their apps. It does not diminish the other apps. Those apps are free. WhatsApp is free. I haven't seen anything bad about WhatsApp. WhatsApp's actually a good app.
Apple knowingly and deliberately degrades quality, privacy, and security for its users. For example, if an iPhone user messages a non-iPhone user in Apple Messages, the text appears not only as a green bubble, but incorporates limited functionality. The conversation is not encrypted, videos are pixelated and grainy, and users cannot edit messages or see typing indicators. As a result,
You can't edit messages. I've done it. If you have an iPhone, I don't know if you need another iPhone in a group chat or something, but when the group chats turn green, you can edit it at a certain time. There's a certain time frame you have to edit it. I've done it. So that's cap. Yes, text messaging, you might not get all the features. It might be harder to like certain stuff. You can't do the little swipe and reply on the messages and whatnot when you're texting Android phones. Yes, you do lose features. That is 100% true because Android phones, they added those features for Apple users. So, like, and they started that whole division stuff between blue and green text. But not everything he just said was true.
iPhone users perceive rival smartphones as being lower quality because the experience of messaging friends and family who do not own iPhones is worse, even though Apple is the one responsible for breaking cross-platform messaging. And it does so intentionally. For example, in 2013, a senior executive at Apple explained that supporting cross-platform messaging in Apple Messages, quote, would simply serve to remove an obstacle to iPhone families giving their kids Android phones, close quote. In 2022, Apple's CEO was asked whether Apple would fix iPhone to Android messaging. The questioner added, quote, not to make it personal, but I can't send my mom certain videos, close quote. Apple's CEO responded, buy your mom an iPhone. In addition to selectively controlling app distribution and creation, we allege that Apple is violating the law by conditionally restricting developers' access to the interface, which is needed to make an app functional on the Apple operating system. For a product like a smartwatch or a digital wallet to be useful to an iPhone user, it must be able to communicate with the iPhone's operating system. But Apple creates barriers that make it extremely difficult and expensive for both users and developers to venture outside the Apple ecosystem. When it comes to smartwatches, Apple not only drives users to purchase an Apple Watch, which is only compatible with an iPhone, it also uses its technical and contractual controls to make it harder for someone with an iPhone to use a non-Apple smartwatch.
So I would have one question in that case. If it doesn't work for non-Apple smartwatches, for Apple phones, do Apple smartwatches work on Android phones? Because if they do, then okay, I may give you that. But if they don't, then you see what I mean? Like it doesn't work both ways. It will not work both ways. They have a market for those people. And yeah, I get the whole thing they said earlier about, oh, just buy your mom an iPhone and things. Yeah, it does. People are gonna do whatever is easier for them. What makes your lives easier for communicating and stuff. If everybody in your family had an iPhone, it makes it easier. You don't have to jump through and get another app like WhatsApp or something like that. You just won't have to do it. So yeah, I get that, but is that building a monopoly? I don't know. Leave that to the judge.
And when it comes to digital wallets, Apple's exclusionary conduct goes a step further. Digital wallets allow users to store and use passes and credentials in a single app, including credit cards, personal identification, movie tickets, and car keys. Apple Wallet is Apple's proprietary digital wallet on the iPhone. Apple actively encourages banks, merchants, and other parties to participate in Apple Wallet, but it simultaneously exerts its monopoly power to block these same partners from developing alternative payment products and services for iPhone users. For example, Apple has blocked third-party developers from creating competing digital wallets on the iPhone that use what is known as tap-to-pay functionality. That is the function that makes a digital wallet, well,
Okay, I ain't know this. So Apple wants to have the only digital wallet on their phone. So they're not letting these credit card companies create their own apps for digital wallets, or inside of their apps create a thing where you can just tap on the card and use that as a digital wallet. It forces you to do that. I can somewhat see that. Like, what if these banks want to allow that tapping feature within their own wallet and app and stuff, then it makes their app useless if they did that. So I see that on both ends of the spectrum. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think, but so far nothing too crazy, I don't think. But it is understandable why Apple would do that on a company standard. Like on a company stance, it makes sense why you wouldn't want them to do that, because it takes a functionality that you incorporated out and no longer needed. So, and of course they want that. Who knows?
A wallet. Instead, Apple forces those who want to use the wallet function to share personal information with Apple, even if they would prefer to share that information solely with their bank, medical provider, or other trusted third party. When an iPhone user puts a credit or debit card in Apple Wallet, Apple inserts itself into the process that would otherwise occur directly between the user and the card issuer. This introduces an additional potential point of failure for the privacy and security of Apple users. And that is just one way in which Apple is willing to make the iPhone less secure and less private in order to maintain its monopoly power. The Supreme Court defines monopoly power as, quote, the power to control prices or exclude competition. As set out in our complaint, Apple has that power in the smartphone market. Now, having monopoly does not itself violate the antitrust laws, but it does when a firm acquires or maintains monopoly power, not because it has a superior product or superior business acumen, but by engaging in exclusionary conduct.
Okay, so I'm going to end this off right here. But my final thoughts based off that, technically, he's kind of right. Technically. And I'm saying he's right on Apple having a monopoly because if most people have and use your product, right, you're in control mainly of how much these products are going to cost and what they're going to range from and how much money you're going to make, how much you're going to charge people to use your app store stuff. Like he brought that up earlier. Hey, 30% for everybody. If you have the majority product, everybody's just going to have to eat the 30%. If you don't, maybe you have more competitive rates for allowing apps on your things. They're saying that they're not even trying to be competitive. That's just what they're charging straight out. In that sense, I can understand. Also, the only other way I can understand is if the tap to pay Apple Wallet thing where you're keeping other businesses to create their own wallets, then yes. I can see that based off that definition that he gave, I can see that. And it's shocking. This is either going to help or ruin Apple. It may do more harm for short term, but we're here. And I'm really wondering if they're going to try to settle this, if they're going to go to court, what Apple's going to do, because if Apple loses this, they're going to lose many departments. Many stuff's getting laid off instantly. Like you're asking them to lose so much and deprecate so much that is built in their system. It might get a little messy. And I'm just saying it can get very messy for Apple in the long run if it goes to a trial and if Apple loses. That's just how that's going to be. Next things next. More stuff on Apple based on the AI pressure. And when you hear the beginning of this, you might recognize some stuff that I've been saying for months about how Apple does business because they don't innovate normally. The Vision Pro was their first thing that they innovated in so long. So we're going to dive into this and see what's up.
Last but best mover.
Guess what? Apple is not an innovator.
Content with letting competitors get to market first with the phone, tablet, or smartwatch, for instance, while instead taking the time to perfect a product. But with generative AI, Apple might have met its match because now it is scrambling, reportedly in talks to outsource AI features to one of its biggest rivals, Google.
This is also a little bit puzzling to me for Apple Is this an admission that maybe they couldn't bring forth their own AI, Gen AI strategy fast enough?
And releasing a new MacBook that's little improved from past versions while selling it as the world's best laptop for AI.
It's all marketing right now.
This week on Tech Check, Apple succumbs to the AI pressure. It is a mega deal that would upend the AI industry.
This is a big and surprising one. So the report saying Apple is in talks to license Google's Gemini AI to power upcoming features in the iPhone. That's according to a Bloomberg report that broke overnight.
The details.
If that's true, if that is true, that means they gave up. Or they're trying to use them temporarily so that they can build their thing in time. There are events in June. That's almost troublesome. That's really actually is troublesome because they moved all these people from the Titan car project and stuff to work better on AI stuff. So that is really troublesome if that's true. Because we might not get a release on AI during WWDC. And yeah, they're normally not innovators. And I've been saying it for months that they don't care that all these other companies have put out their AI stuff. They're going to wait until just June date to show off their AI stuff and what's coming and things like that. They typically always are late to the punch on features on their phones and stuff. And just before this video, we were talking about how they don't even have the best product and how they're ruining it for other brands and stuff like that. But yeah, it is literally insane on how that works because they don't innovate. And if Google, like, if they're partnering with Gemini, that means Gemini is going to be on Apple and Android because they're going to be on Samsungs and stuff.
Including which iPhone features Gemini might power and who would be paying who in this agreement, that's still unclear. But part of the surprise is that Apple is notoriously protective of what goes into its devices. Tim Cook has a doctrine going back decades. Quote, "We need to own and control the primary technologies behind the products that we make." Here, though, there is some precedent. Google has been Apple's longtime partner in search.
When you go open up your Safari browser on your iPhone and just type in a search term into that bar at the top, that's all Google. That is a Google experience. That's not necessarily an Apple experience, and that is what Google is paying for.
Google is believed to pay some $18 billion a year to be Apple's default search engine. So Apple might feel that a deal with Google would be a natural continuation of what has been a reliable and lucrative partnership. But is it the best partner or the most convenient partner? Google shares they jumped on the report, validation for its own troubled AI strategy. For Apple, though, some saw it as an admission that it is behind in the Gen AI race and needed a Band-Aid solution, and quick.
We've been waiting for what Apple is going to do when it comes to generative AI. We're still obviously waiting for that.
Raising questions about Apple's own large language model, codenamed Ajax. Has it proved too tough?
It speaks to Apple's inability so far, if this is true at least, to come up with their own AI model, and that should cause some concern as well.
Reports also suggest that Apple's development of Ajax is running behind and, quote, remains inferior to tools from Google and other rivals, making a partnership look like the better option. That's not entirely a shock. Apple has never been seen as a first mover. The company typically bides its time, learning from competitors and then using its massive reach to take market share. But recently, there have been clues that that strategy is not working as well.
And because of that strategy, that's why they have a quote-unquote monopoly, as the DOJ would say. And that's why they suing them. That is insane. This is actually insane. I didn't even know that their AI was called Ajax. Like, I kept seeing stuff about their AI, but I never saw a name for it or heard a name for it. Now it's Ajax. So it's not going good. They're rushing. It's not going to get done in time. Damn sure not going to be done in time to show it in June. So what are they going to do? They're going to be announcing a partnership, I bet you, instead. That's sad.
It reportedly shut down the development of its long-rumored electric car, codenamed Project Titan, shifting those resources and employees to artificial intelligence efforts. And then there's Siri.
My name is John DeBoer.
What can I do for you?
What is my name?
I don't know who you are, but you...
I think we're safe for a while, folks.
Perceived as a laggard in the voice assistant space, Apple has yet to incorporate any cutting-edge AI technology, the kind that has powered transformative chatbots like ChatGPT, into its own Siri. Some point to Apple's relatively smaller investment numbers. How can it keep up if it's not putting the same firepower behind innovation that its competitors are? Apple's total R&D outlay last year represented less than 8% of its annual revenue. Alphabet and Amazon, they averaged about 15% of their reported revenue. And for Meta, nearly 30%.
Of course they're a follower, and of course...
Yeah, we knew all that. They don't innovate. All of this was for the Vision Pro. I bet you would have been way less if it wasn't for the Vision Pro. It would have probably been like 2%. I mean, it's so serious. This is all Vision Pro stuff. Unless they're going to show Vision Pro stuff for this year. But I would figure it would count because since it came out this year. But if this is including the Vision Pro stuff, that's sad. It's almost pathetic. Because a lot of people who make the apps and stuff, they're not even in Apple. So, and look how much, like 30% for Meta. That's how much Meta puts into their innovation of R&D costs. For building new tech. These people don't need to build. What another thing that could help them is their recycling of products. That's another thing that can help them because they do a lot of recycling and stuff, so the cost might be cheaper by doing that. Nike does something similar to that, so that could be another reasoning on why it's way less and Meta's more, and why we're seeing these numbers. But that's something you would have to sit down with these companies personally and just try to figure it all out.
Of course they're a follower, and of course they need somebody else to innovate for them. And Google, since it already is a partner, is a natural partner.
That might have worked for Apple in the past, but many say that AI is a very different beast, that the stakes are much higher. One that has put megacaps in an AI pressure cooker. The street only rewarding the ones that can show its commitment to AI and punishing those that are slow to move. Shares of Apple, they have severely lagged its peers, up just about 13% over the past year. Compare that to Google and Microsoft's 45 and 50% gains. And then there's Microsoft overtaking Apple as the most valuable company in the world. The bulls, though, they're optimistic about a deal with Google. Shares moved higher in the reports with hopes that AI features...
I feel like it's way easier for Microsoft to overtake Apple because look at what happened last year. They partnered with OpenAI. They're partnering with all these other AI companies. So why would you? It's easier for them, for the partnerships that they can make. Apple I don't see Apple doing these kind of partnerships. Like we just saw the Nvidia thing for the Vision Pro, but it's just something that we don't see much from Apple. That all their profits are from their phones and things, and how they do that. It's great for them, but
features would be a way for Apple to jumpstart an upsell cycle.
It would be seamless. You suddenly would have a great AI engine within your phone, and you'd have a reason to upgrade. So if this is true, and they can get this into the next phone, holy cow, all the bears on Apple are going to have to eat crow.
A reason to upgrade. That's key. The iPhone replacement cycle, it has stretched to the longest period Apple has ever seen, a record 4.5 years, Morgan Stanley estimates. Adding AI features might just be what it needs to convince consumers to go out and buy a new phone.
What is most important to Apple is selling more phones in this new upgrade cycle that's coming in the fall. And
they thought adding the USB-C was going to help them buy new phones. Look, I still got the old one. No USB-C for me. You thought I was going to switch phones just because of that? I can wait until this breaks. Literally, I have time.
Basically, convincing folks that whatever AI features they do announce, Tim Cook says they're going to, and this is quoting him, break new ground.
It's a strategy that might be working for Apple's biggest smartphone rival, Samsung. The South Korean company unveiled its AI phone earlier this year, the Galaxy S24, equipped with AI-powered features like circle to search and live translation. According to Best Buy, that is driving sales.
There are many examples of innovation that we believe will drive interest, including the Samsung AI-enabled phone. We are already seeing materially more demand than we expected.
Apple might be hoping it works for them as well. In early March, Apple announced a new laptop, a line of MacBooks that it calls, quote, the world's best consumer laptop for AI. It's equipped with their newest processor, the M3 chip, which they say makes it faster, more efficient with, quote, incredible AI performance, advanced AI features, running optimized AI models. But the M3 chip, it actually came out months ago.
Tonight, we're introducing a new family of breakthrough chips and bringing them to the world's best pro laptop.
Back then, AI wasn't mentioned once. Same company, same processor, but for some reason, it only became an AI laptop recently.
Talking about features that have been in existence forever, fitness tracking on your Apple Watch, all of a sudden they're labeling that as AI. It's all marketing right now. They have nothing, to supplement that or deliver on it.
It also comes after Microsoft announced its own line of AI PCs with its flagship AI product called Copilot built in.
It's a term you can expect to hear a lot this year, and here's what Microsoft says its new AI PCs can do. They have a special kind of chip inside called a neural processing unit, or NPU, that can perform AI tasks faster and more efficiently.
And then there's the regular.
And that's something that Apple messed up at, because they had the worst timing for their events and stuff. Now, they had last year, they came out with two chips, the M2 and then the M3, all last year. They could have been the first ones to be like, hey, we're using this computer to drive AI. We're going to figure out how to do it. We don't know how or yet, but we're going to figure out how to do it. This is going to be a new AI computer, blah, blah, blah. These are the features that AI is going to help build. But no, what they did, Samsung, they did an event. How is Gemini helping out with their fitness apps and all their other apps? How is it helping with their notes apps? All their apps, they showed it everywhere. And this is the expectation that Apple's going to be held at now because they didn't bring this up ahead of time. It's all their fault. They had the first swing on products, and then now these other companies are coming, and now they're the last one. They're in the last boat now, and then now when they try to go backtrack and be like, "Oh, this is for AI," what you mean? You ain't say this was for AI last year. So it's a tragic case for them, very tragic. They're gonna have to deal with it though. They really gonna have to deal with it. They should have thought of better. I don't know who's up there making choices and stuff. They made the wrong choices. They should have saw where the market was going and made the right choice based off that. But they got it wrong this time. So they will be getting punished for it.
Regulators.
Here it is for history. This is the United States versus Apple. It's an 88-page antitrust complaint under the Sherman Antitrust Act. And in it, the Department of Justice alleges that Apple's been abusing its monopoly power to the detriment of app developers, other tech companies, and American consumers.
What could be the biggest antitrust suit against a tech company this century. That's on top of a perhaps more relevant DOJ investigation into Apple's other partnership with Google, that 2-decade-long multi-billion-dollar search engine deal. Regulators there concerned that it encourages monopolistic behavior and is unfair to other competitors. So could Apple be adding fuel to the fire, potentially inking another partnership, this time in Gen AI?
Let's rewind back to a couple decades ago when Microsoft was going through this at the cusp of the mobile revolution, and people were saying, oh, they missed out on this because the government went after Microsoft and therefore they missed the mobile revolution and so forth.
Bill Gates has said that.
Bill Gates has said that.
He had his eye off the ball. He was focused much more on
exactly.
Washington.
And so then you got to wonder, does this become a distraction for Apple?
In the middle of the AI revolution,
exactly.
where it seems like Apple is a little behind.
All of this raises the stakes for WWDC. That's Apple's upcoming developer conference in June, where it showcases its newest innovations and updates.
So that's it for today. As I gotta say, I felt like today was a good episode, but WWDC for Apple is literally their last chance. It's a hit or miss. I'm telling you, it's a hit or miss. How that event goes will depend their future for the rest of the year. Let me check something real quick. I don't even know, did I put them in my top 5 list for this year? For last year? If I did that, oh my gosh. This year, they won't even make it. Top 5 companies of 2023. Yes. They were number 3 on my list for top 5 companies last year. And it's crazy because this year, the way this is building out, they're not making a cut. Trust and believe they're not making a cut. I'm telling you, this year's list, a lot of companies that I put on there ain't making a cut this year. And I might do a quarter by quarter basis. If you guys want to see a quarter by quarter basis for top companies, top 5 tech companies of the quarter, let me know. I will start pumping out videos on the other channel, start planning stuff out more, get serious with the whole content stuff and things. But yeah, we gonna they in a rocky boat right now. It's flooding, and they need to jump ship or something. They need to figure something out that's going to save them on June 10th, from June 10th to 14th, when WWDC comes out. So thank you guys all for joining this week's episode. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I really appreciate you guys for tuning in. Please share. This is going to be the best news place for and discussion for technology and engineering in the future. Don't miss out. You won't be the first ones to say that you were here first. So please subscribe and all that. I appreciate you guys. All really appreciate it so much. You don't know how much I appreciate it. And see you guys next week.